We now turn to Mesoamerica, which means Middle America, between North America and South America. It's easy to think of in terms of Mexico and the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, and that region, as well as Honduras. For our purposes, beginning with the Olmec, I've got a close up of the Gulf Coast and two really important sites for the Olmec. The very early one of San Lorenzo, followed by La Venta, which is what we're going to look at right now. This is the region of the Olmec and Olmec influence, the heartland essentially of the Olmec. It is tropical rainforest. It is the Gulf Coast of Mexico. And it's worth pointing out that they're right between the Mexican half over here, and this is going to be one tradition, and think Aztecs as part of that tradition, and the Mayan tradition, which is going to be located over here, which is another very important tradition within the world of Mesoamerica. The Olmec, a foundation civilization, will influence both of those. This is a full view of the Mesoamerican region, so you can get a little bit of a sense of the extent of that territory. The Olmec are an incredibly important people. They provide for us the earliest major civilization in the New World. America's essentially first complex culture. Yet, sadly, we don't know their name, the people who actually lived there. The word Olmec comes out of the Nahuatl word, which was the Aztec way of describing the folks from here, from this region, which just means rubber people, because they had rubber in this region and they provided rubber as tribute to the Aztecs. The Olmec people, whatever they originally called themselves, remain incredibly important because they, I do think, qualify as a mother culture. A mother culture provides a foundation of ideas, beliefs, practices, and art that will continue into the future. Among the things that the Olmec give us, they will produce large ceremonial centers with pyramids, and those pyramids are going to be formal, they're going to be axial, they are going to be aligned to the directions. They are also going to provide us with elite rulers that are probably divine, and those rulers probably are manifest in those large colossal heads. We think also that the Olmec are going to give us the beginnings of the ball game, which is going to become an incredibly important religious expression of Mesoamerica. They also definitely use art to support the state so that they craft ways of coming up with a formal art style, a monumental art style that will help to support the rulers. They also use ritual bloodletting or blood sacrifice, which for our purposes, we can say begin with the Olmec, and it will continue throughout the world of the Maya, and also definitely everybody already knows through the world of the Aztecs, where blood sacrifice is enacted on a very large scale. The image that I have on the screen right now, I borrowed from the web. It just is a way of suggesting Olmec influence in general. The art style, a rounded surface, generalized geometric shapes and forms, very powerful, as if the image is bursting out of the block of stone. Those are things I can say about the Olmec. I can also say those things about the Aztecs. So there is influence in style that continues. The religious symbolism of the Olmecs is also going to be continued. A word about hieroglyphic writing. I'm going to show you a sample of it in a minute. Uh, Writing in the New World in Mesoamerica um, is picture writing, with one exception, and that would be the Maya. Only the Maya have what we would count as a true form of writing, but the Olmec do give us an early form of picture writing, which we'll see, including bar and dot numbering. So they provide us with a form of picture writing as well as a system of counting, which means, of course, that they're going to have a calendar. And calendars are fundamental to Mesoamerica, particularly to the world of the Maya, and also it will be to the world of the Aztecs. And I've mentioned bloodletting and the ball game. So, with that, let's just take a quick peek at a sample of hieroglyphic imagery, and it is really imagery more than traditional writing. This is a very small plaque, probably left as an offering, that we actually have in the United States. It's in the Dallas Museum of Art, and it is the creation story of the Olmec, and it's been conveyed in picture writing. So let me see if I can give us a little bit better detail of this. The image that we're looking at, the three levels of existence, the sky, the earth, and the underworld, as well as the tree of life linking them together, which emerges out of the world mountain. In terms of mythology, this image, which is picture writing, not true writing, is about as good as you can get. This up here is the sky realm, so this is the above world, with an axe, which often acts as a symbol of the heavens. It can also acts as a symbol of the world axis in the center of the X, surrounded by, if you count these, you'll come up with 13. And in Mesoamerica, it is believed that there are 13 layers of the sky world or of the heavens. What links the earth with that is the world tree. And this world tree, we believe, is actually corn. It's a corn stalk. And we think these four kernels around it are corn kernels. They also obviously are going to reference the four directions. That world tree or corn stalk, and corn is a basic staple of life for the Olmec, as it is for later peoples, is coming out of a world mountain. It is three-sided. Each side has three areas on it, and it's a double mountain with a cave in the center of it. That world mountain leads us, we think, to the jaws of the underworld. This then gives us the three levels: the underworld, our world in this region right here, and the heavens up here. What about these three circles below? Well, we think that references a creation story that talks about first father who is born on a hearth made of stones, and he will be, I should say, reborn into the maize god, coming out of the pretty important story of the hero twins, which is a foundation. O'Reilly talks about this, which is a foundation for the belief system later of the Maya. So we think in a single image here, we have a summation of the beliefs established already in Olmec times that are going to continue into the future. Let's take a look at that world mountain in action as it actually becomes a pyramid. This is the site of La Venta, which in my notes does say it follows San Lorenzo, an earlier Olmec settlement, and I'm going to say ceremonial center as well. La Venta carries on the traditions of the Olmec. It's going to last around 500 years and have incredible wealth and power. This site has been excavated partly, not completely, and already we know that there were huge offerings that were left here. 1,000 tons of serpentine blocks, for example, that would have been left in caches as offerings. Separate caches of jade and pottery and figurines and mirrors made out of hematite. So this was an incredibly important site. But for us, what matters is it helps to establish patterns in the future. And that's going to include a very large pyramid that probably faces a ceremonial plaza in front of it. That pyramid is going to have four sides that are aligned to the cosmos. It also is going to represent the world mountain. It probably would, on top of it, have had a small structure that suggested a cave entrance, linking us through the mountain to the underworld, giving us the sky above, the earth, and the underworld. Even today, the mountain pyramid rises around 110 feet. There's been erosion over the centuries. It is made out of basically kind of pounded, compressed earth into the shape of a mountain. And I would like to suggest into the shape of a world mountain. This is in Mr. O'Reilly, so you can find it there. It shows you the mound that is included at the bilateral symmetry at La Venta does suggest referencing ideas of a cosmic design in relation to the world tree. There are also three, and again, they're in complete symmetry, three mosaics that were buried immediately, this one and this one, located right here, at the entranceway of a separate court. And we do think this might be the area where the ball game was played. Those two mosaics, as well as this one, in the very, very center of the big plaza in front of the pyramid. All of these are rigidly symmetrical and may in fact reference ideas associated with the axis mundi and the world tree. A couple suggestions have been made at the site for reaching that axis mundi. One, of course, is through the mountain itself, and the other, it's been suggested with this central mosaic right here, that it might also reference the position of the world tree. So who can use this? How can we connect through the levels? Well, it will be the shaman. And we suspect that in the day of the Olmec, that the divine ruler, the king, might also have been the shaman, or you can think priest, the individual who would be able to travel that world tree and communicate with the various levels. This is a closer look at one of those mosaics that are created and then immediately buried as an offering, and as a kind of celestial, cosmic is a better word, as a cosmic marker for the site. At this site of La Venta, there are also a series of colossal Olmec heads, which is where I would like you now to turn to take a look at the other talkie that I have for us that covers Olmec creations, large scale, monumental, swelling forms depicting human heads.